Hey there, welcome to a project demonstration of Apiary. This project is the landing page for Practicum by Yandex's Apiary program, and what Apiary is it's a way to connect startups with developers hoping to get experience building real-world applications. And these startups might not have the capital to hire paid developers, and the developers don't have the experience to actually get paid, so it's a nice way to connect these two folks together to create nicely functioning apps. So what I want to do is talk about some of the technologies that were involved in this project, and then I'll go ahead and demonstrate the app on itself. So on the front end, we use React. This is just a front end project. It has some connections with some content management systems, but those API calls are written in the front end and used from there as well. So we use React, a few style components on the front end as well. And we use Contentful as a content management system, and then we used Apollo and GraphQL to actually fetch that data from the content management system and populate it on the front page. The reason that we wanted to do all this is because we wanted to provide the client with a performant web application that would not require that they actually go into the code and enter anything. We wanted to give them a no-code solution, something that would use a CMS, a content management system that was very easy for them to use, but then write some code that would actually respond to the changes that they make on that end. So I think we achieved that. So let's go ahead and look at the app, and then I'll talk about how it's built as well. So here we are on the landing page. We can see that there are a lot of links in the top. These will each take us to different portions of the landing page. If we click projects, we can go ahead and see projects already done by students with the program. And you'll see that there are two call to actions right here, and these call to actions are repeated throughout the page. If I click these, it's going to open up a form from which a startup can actually enter their information and then submit this, and then the client will get that form on their end, and then they can reach out to these companies if they want to work with them. And a number of companies have done that already. There are a lot of students who have made real world projects that look great, and this is one of them. So it's kind of meta. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is one of the Apiary projects, and it's geared towards making a landing page for the Apiary program. So Apiary is the client, which is pretty funny, and it's kind of a mouthful, I understand, but let's keep going. So here's a nice hero image, a nice call to action up there. There's more information as to why it's useful, some requests that you might be able to see. So if you want a data science project done or a data analysis project you want done, this is a web development program. So if you want to click on web development, you can see all the web development projects down here. I'm getting ahead of myself though. Let's head back home and we can continue scrolling down. Here are some reasons why you might want to use the Apiary program. And then here's how to get started. Again, there's another call to action, persistent throughout the page, really wanting you to click that button so that you can become a client as well. More information as to why to choose us. And then here is a section that I worked on and a section that can display all the projects already done. So let's take a look at how this works real quick before continuing on. Here we have the web development projects all set up right now. These were queried from Contentful right when the page opened, but if we want to look at the data analysis page, you'll see that we made a real quick query to see those, and then some data science projects over here as well. All the projects are different. Each of them has some information about the project, when it was completed. You can download the presentation, view the student team, and then some of the information that the student has to say about the project, and then view the client, and then view maybe some feedback that they had or some of the praise that they had for the development team that they worked with. If you can't see the entire review right here, you can click read full review and it will open it up right there. And you continue down and see some more projects. Again, read the full review. You can see more projects if you want by clicking this button, and it will load some more that were done. So we're not loading too many at one time. We don't want to overload the user if they don't want to see all those projects. And again, here's a nice call to action. Continue on down here. You can see the developers that were a part of this project. So what might not have been apparent right here when you click on this is that this sent a new query to go and get these projects. But right now it's loading really fast. And the reason that this is something that I want to get into in a bit. But before I do that, I want to talk about where all this information is coming from. So that's coming from Contentful, the content management system. And while the client will see this as their product, the only thing that they'll really touch is ever going to be this content management system here. So here we are right here. This is the main page that we're on. If I view the content for this space, we see that there are three main collections of projects, and this is because we're viewing the content type projects. I don't want to go too deep into how Contentful actually works because this is meant to be a demonstration of the web app, not Contentful. But real quick, here is the collection of projects. If I want to view the projects as individuals, I can view them right here. So there are 11 entries, 11 projects, looks like 9 of them are published or so. And these projects right here, this data type, if I click on this, you can see that it's a collection of smaller projects. And each project itself has a title. It's part of a course, and it has an image, which is another content type, some info about it, which is another content type, and then some reviews. So the point of all this is that we don't want a we don't want to require that the client comes in here and reinvents the wheel every time they do. What they can do is, if they want to create a new project, they can come back here to content and then add project. If they want to, we don't want to add a collection of projects, we want to add a singular project. So they go ahead and add a project right here. They can deem what course it's part of, the title of the course, add an image, some info, and some reviews. And then once they publish that, that will be rendered right here to this page. So I'm not going to go ahead and add a whole project because I don't want to mess up this whole display, but if I did, you would be able to see it kind of render right here. So each of these, again, is a content type. Each of them has a title, some information, and these links are things that you can enter in the content management system as well. I want to refresh the page right now so that we can kind of see that query again. When we're on web development, that loaded pretty quick, but if we do click that, there's a quick little shimmer effect that displays when things are loading, so there's not too much of a content layout shift. When we click data science, it's going to make that query again, but as soon as we go back to data analysis, that's a really quick kind of jump back to the content. So what might be apparent looking at Contentful, or might be what's not apparent, is that each piece of content has a lot of data attached to it. So one of the technical challenges that we bumped into right away is that when we made a fetch request to the Contentful content management system, there's a lot of information coming back that was pretty useless, that we didn't really want to see coming back to our end, because eventually once this application scales, we're going to be getting a lot more information than we actually need, and that's going to really slow down the application. We wanted to keep things performant. So the way that we solved that technical challenge was to find a way to send a fetch request or to send an API call in a way that would only give us back the information that we need, and then once we have it, we'll be able to cache that information so that we don't need to fetch it every time we switch the buttons, which is why when you re-click back to that button, it's actually loading information that was already cached. And so that is why we went with GraphQL and Apollo Client. GraphQL is a great way to send a singular query, which you can see right here. This is a very customized query, and this is just the information that we're getting. We're not getting it's huge JSON blobs that we could get if we were just using a regular fetch API. We're just getting this information structured the way we want it so that we can get it from an API and then sift it directly into the content or the elements that we have on the page, the containers. So when we get that, that's all coming in, and then Apollo Client is very powerful such that once it has it, it's going to recognize it when you make that same request, that same post request with GraphQL. We're not going to go and get that information again. It's going to request, oh, you already got this. We have that information here. We're just going to keep that there. So that's pretty cool. So that was a quick little bit of information on the technical challenge of performing requests to an API without getting too much information and then caching the information. The last thing I want to talk about is the form that we have right here when you click on the call to action, the delegated task. And that's really what we want clients to see and do, is click that button so that they can become customers of the Apiary program. So if I enter my information, Jake, that's my company name, Jake, I'm just going to put Jake there so we can see some form validation in a second. Make me a website, please. And then here, yes, you can definitely call me. If I submit this right now, we're going to see some native or some custom form validation going on. It's going to say invalid email format, so it's going to want you to actually enter an email. So I'll do jake@email.com. I'm going to submit this, and then we see a nice form pop up, or a nice modal pop up that says, thanks for contacting us, yes from Jake. We'll reach out to you as soon as possible, and we look forward to working together. Awesome, that's really cool. So this form right now, since this is just a demo page, this didn't actually get sent to anybody, but if it were to be on the live version, we would be sending that form over to the client Apiary program, and they'd be able to collect all that information and then sift through the clients to see who would be a good match for the student. So this is a web page. This is a nice, real no-code solution to answering the question of how do we build a landing page that would allow startups and developers to connect to build real-world applications. Thanks for checking this out.